Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to jump right into it, and I'm going to pick up briefly with a story I was talking about last week, and that is the situation with our Pittsfield Public School cafeteria workers. So, to those of you that didn't see it, last week the big talk was the public school systems were looking to lay off, I guess, up to 50 of our cafeteria workers. And it was a shock to the workers. It was a shock to a lot of people. And the reason being is through the entire summer, from the minute COVID started back in March, the cafeteria workers were asked to continue working, to provide grab and go meals to our students, because even according to Jake McCandless, our superintendent, until he leaves for his new job, that roughly 50% of our students in our Pittsfield public school systems are in poverty. And that these meals, for a lot of them, are their only access to some really nutritional meals to make sure that the kids are eating healthy. So the cafeteria workers stepped up and have been working all along. When a lot of people were afraid to leave their houses, didn't know what was going on, all the mixed information out there, they went in, they were working. They didn't have PPE, personal protective equipment provided to them. They put their own health at risk. They put their families at risk to make sure that these children had the nutritional meals they needed. And to be blindsided a week or two ago with these potential layoffs was shocking and upsetting. So, I had spoke to some of the people in the organization or part of the cafeteria workers union that represents them, and they did a big rally at Park Square, which I attended, and it was tremendous. There was, 130, 150 people there. It was a lot of support, all the traffic going by, tons of support for the cafeteria workers who is predominantly are women. A lot of them work 2 and 3 jobs. A lot of them work at minimum wage or below minimum wage. And the people that did ask about that, from what I understand, public schools have to adhere to federal guidelines, and the federal minimum wage is like 7.25. And that is why some of these cafeteria workers are working below the Massachusetts minimum wage, which I think is $12.75. I believe it's $12.75. But so anyway, they were doing all this for very little money. For them to get laid off when a lot of them are working, like I said, 2 and 3 jobs, to try to get unemployment becomes this massive headache and not easy to do. And of course, their health insurance would be disrupted in the middle of this pandemic thing going on. So there were talks with the city, and in the Eagle last week, there was a article that said that rather than laying off the original number that was mentioned, which was around 50, it was going to be about 17 of them were laid off. And I'm waiting to hear back from some people. We're still pushing to try to get none of them to be laid off, so they can all save their jobs. Many of them have agreed to help sterilize the schools or take bus monitor positions or anything they can to keep employed till we get these schools opened. Because it's not like we're closing the schools forever and we don't need these workers. We need them. We're gonna need them. Absolutely. The grab and go meals are still being prepared. They just don't have money in the budget is what they're saying, and they're asking the cafeteria workers that they're keeping to do double the work than they used to. And again, these are positions that are around minimum wage level or below. So the fact that they want to continue working, we owe them that. We owe them that for what they've done all year to make sure that the children of this city were fed and had proper access to nutritional meals. So if you can, and it would take minutes of your time, call your city councilor. Call your ward counselor. Call one of our at-large counselors. I mean, God, we have 4 of them. So I don't know why we have 4 of them, but we do. So call one of them, but show your support for them. I think that we need to make sure all of these workers are kept employed through this, and especially for what they were willing to do for the city and at such a low pay. So I will follow up on that, though, as soon as I get some more information, and I'm hoping all of them can remain employed. Another thing that I hated to read this, but many of you might have saw this, is that our bars and nightclubs in Massachusetts, and this I was reading in the Berkshire Eagle, will have to remain closed until there is a vaccine. So that's horrible to hear that, because how long can all of them continue to survive before those doors have to be closed forever? And that's worrisome with a lot of our businesses. Very worrisome. I can think of quite a few that, you wonder, how long can they do this? How long can they continue to have money for their taxes and whatever other expenses they have to have and upkeep of buildings? And it's sad to see that. So I hope that a vaccine or there's some kind of answer soon on that. On a good note, or better note, I wouldn't call it good or great, but it is better, is the governor's restrictions for restaurants of 6 people per table has now been expanded to 10 people, so they can seat outdoor and indoor in groups of 10. So that should be a big help, because as the colder weather is coming, I mean, how many people are going to continue to eat outside? We've been lucky this past week. The weather warmed back up, but when we had that dip in temperature, I went out with a few friends of mine a couple times, and it was chilly. It was. So I thought, what's going to happen when this starts, dropping and dropping? Nobody wants to sit out there in 30 and 40 degree weather outside eating. So hopefully the groups of 10 will be a big help, and hopefully this milder weather will hang in there. I know this week, if maybe even as soon as tomorrow, but I know that they're calling for rain coming in, I believe sometime this week, which we definitely need. But again, every time you have any kind of bad weather, it's a hit to these businesses also. So support your local businesses, though. And again, now I guess you can have groups of 10. So take advantage of that if you can, just to support our local businesses. They need it. And a lot of them, it's great food, it's great service, great people. It's good to see people out. So if you can, please do. Another weird thing that's going on is this shared spaces project. So a lot of you, if you haven't already heard this, you will. Mass Department of Transportation has given the city of Pittsfield a grant around $240,000. I think it's $238,000 and change for this shared spaces program, which will be, they're going to create these things called parklets, and some added bike paths and reducing some of our streets from 2 lanes to 1 lane. But these parklets are basically taking a parking space, like out in front of the curb, say on North Street, taking a parking space and converting it into a space that you can put a table and eat there or hang out there. So if you want to hang out and eat in the middle of North Street or the middle of one of these streets, you can. It's a very weird thing reading it. I know Northampton had done this, and the business owners hated it, and this year they did away with it. They're looking for other places to put these little parklets. Some of them are mobile. They're like a platform they bring in, and it's really strange. I don't know if we have the right area for that, but they're doing it because this grant came in, and they have to rush to do it. They got to get this completed by October 9th to be eligible for the grant. Those are the guidelines for it. So it seems kind of crazy to me. There was even mention of possibly turning Allen Street, where City Hall and the police station is, to a one-way street, which I don't really understand that. Sometimes it's difficult to get into City Hall anyway. But I guess if you turn Allen Street into a one-way street, if you go the wrong way on Allen Street when it is a one-way street, they probably, if they pull you over, won't do anything and just let you go anyway. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know if that's definite or not, but there was mention of that, and mention of other streets where they're going to be reducing traffic flow from 2 lanes to 1 lane, and then adding a bike path or some things like that, but these parklets. So if you see these weird things happening, that's what it is. And who knows, maybe it'll be a success. It's kind of strange doing that in October, and as soon as the bad weather comes, these things got to be, I mean, you can't have things like that if you're going to be plowing. So I'd imagine they've all got to be put away anyway. But hey, there was a grant for it, and Pittsfield said, sure, we'll take it. I think we take anything that anybody will give us. So they took it. So if you see weird stuff like that going on and you wonder what they're doing, that's what they're doing. So I'll follow up on that, maybe get some pictures and stuff of ours when that happens. So that is it for now. I will definitely do a follow-up on what's happening with the cafeteria workers. I want to do a follow-up on what's going on with the shelter for those in homelessness that will be set up at the First United Methodist Church. Just want to make some phone calls and find out where that is. I never did hear back from ServiceNet when all that was happening. I think that, the thing with St. Joe was a complete disaster. From what I understand, I don't know why we were told that the diocese said they had to be out of there by August 1st, because from what I understand, that absolutely didn't happen at all. The diocese has had no problem with that. And I have some information on that that I'm going to do in another video on its own. I'm just gathering more stuff with that. But bottom line is I want to do a follow through on that, and because that's very important. And that's an issue that we need to, as a city, take control of before that grows out of control. And, remember, the end of October, there's the possibility of evictions and all that starting, unless they do some kind of extension on that. So who knows what could happen with those numbers? It's that could end up being a catastrophe. So I hope not, but that's something to keep an eye on. So I will definitely follow up on that. So that's it for now. Call your city councilors, show your support. You could call City Hall, but they're non-essential workers, so they're only open 8 hours a week. And but call your counselor, your ward counselor, call one of our at-large counselors and show your support for our cafeteria workers, and hopefully all of them get their job saved. So again, for the 5th time, that is it for now, and I will catch y'all on Wednesday or Thursday.